What you're about to see is a full consultation that I have with my client here over the hardest color correction I've ever done in my life. So stick around. See what you got here. How long ago was it that you got your hair done?
It was on
Okay, so just a few days ago.
Yeah.
All right, here's your little hair tie. Okay, and let's take a look at what we have here. You have a coconut oil treatment in there right now?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. And so you used to be getting highlights. Did
Yeah.
you get highlights and lowlights or just highlights only?
I think just highlights.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, just highlights, and then you went to your appointment to get more highlights done, and it had probably been a year since your last appointment. Look, these look like they were quite long roots.
The last time I went was in October.
Oh, okay, was
Yeah.
it just for a half head for the top half?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, because under here is where I'm seeing like a ton
okay,
and ton of root.
yeah,
I'm like,
that's
that's
fine.
probably a year since that's been done. Okay. All right. How many times have you washed this since your appointment?
One.
Okay. So there's definitely still some old toner residue in there. Well, not old, it's 3 or 4 days old at this point. Okay. So you had a full head of foils planned for that day, and instead,
She said to do a bleach out
okay,
of my roots. I just showed her the picture that
yeah,
I wanted, so I guess like based off of that, she said to just bleach the roots.
okay. She went for just bleaching the roots, and then she did that everywhere, it looks like. But it doesn't look like it's all connected. Did you get damage?
I don't think so. My hair. She did trim my hair a little bit
Okay.
after.
Did you have like face trimming layers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have last year in February, I had some damage. I
Okay.
remember it. And then, so there's like some pieces that are like kind of short, like around here.
Okay. Do you naturally have curly hair?
No, it's straight.
Okay. It's just from being
Yeah.
put into the bun?
Yeah.
Okay. So your hair is naturally pretty straight.
Yeah, straight like wavy.
Okay. This might be the most colorful hair I have ever seen. What is it you're wanting to see today? What are your expectations?
Just like honestly, whatever we can do to even it out without with the least amount of damage. Like I understand if there's gonna be some damage to fix it, but yeah.
Okay, so we have to talk about the expectation of what our potential options are, because we do have a few options here. I'd like to kind of let you know what they all are, what the risks are of each option. I'm going to grab a brush here. Okay, so we're going to go over some options for you. I'm going to let you pick what you want to do today. Obviously, our first option is the easiest, the least expensive. You definitely get to keep the length of your hair, and it is going dark.
Yeah.
That's always an option when it comes to color corrections. We don't have to go light. If you're thinking I'm a length girly beyond anything else, then my suggestion would be to go dark. The only thing is here, because you have this kind of damage in your hair, you wouldn't be able to go light for a very long time. You'd have to like
Okay.
grow out all of this and cut it away before you go light again in a healthy way.
Okay.
If we go dark, it means that the sacrifice that you're kind of paying there is that you can't go light long term, and you'll have dark hair, which not everybody wants dark hair. Some people do want light hair. That's why you bleached it in the first place, right? So dark hair would help to even things out quite a bit. The only thing is, our only real option for dark is like, it's not like a light brown, like we'd be going like my color or darker. type of thing.
Okay.
If you wanted something that's like the cheapest, fastest, healthiest, get to keep the long hair, no matter what, grow it long term, that's an option. It's totally understandable if that's not the option you're choosing. So I just wanted to let you know that's also a choice.
Okay.
Another choice, obviously, is to lighten it. So there's a few different ways we can take it with lightening it. One way is we could just, try to turn you into a bleach out, where we just try to pick through every single hair on your head, lighten it up to its lightest point, and then retone you. That's an option too. What you're likely going to see is some damage in through these ends here because they're already quite damaged. And they're also dark because you were getting highlights, right? So I have to pick through and find each individual hair. I have to sneeze. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Okay, sorry. Okay, find each individual hair, make a judgment call on each one, and have to lighten it, whether it's light enough or not. Like, if we're going for a bleach out, we're typically going for the lightest possible option. So that's where some damage can come in. You would definitely need to get some kind of cut done. It just depends on how much you're willing to cut away, but like these ends are already really unhealthy. I would suggest to cut anyways. However, I'm never gonna make you do a haircut.
Okay.
If you're like, I absolutely cannot deal with having that big of a change as well as all the changes we've had today, I need to come back in a little bit, do a cut then, that's also okay. I'm never gonna like force you to do a cut. I will advise it, but I won't force it. Because I see like, I mean, maybe the worst of it is up here, but it looks to me like the worst of it is down here where we have really big bands of black, right? So that's gonna be a very high risk to bleach this and this and this at different levels, and still some of these bits too, because this is highlights and lowlights. This is a mix of light and dark. Another option is to try going through it slice by slice and lightening up some of it, darkening down other bits so we can kind of bring you back to highlights and lowlights. That also has quite a big risk of breakage too, because with whatever we put into a highlight, some of those ends have to be lifted as well as that banding. And that banding is our, like, it's a scary high risk zone, right? Because it's so close up to where your roots are. If the banding was way down here, it's not so much of a problem. Like worst case scenario, we can cut that out, we can layer your hair, blah, 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 but it is pretty high up. So the risk is that if I put bleach right here where this dark color is, I don't know if you can see it against my arm, wherever those dark patches are, and you can see against my arm, there's patches here, and there, but then there's light in between it. So any one of those light spots, if it gets slightly oversaturated, or if it needs to be saturated but can't handle being lifted anymore, it'll snap right where that light spot is. So that is where our big risk is for our lightening service today. Whether we choose to make you all over light, or if we do a dimensional light where we add in light and dark, or whatever it is, I don't know how bright we could get you, as I've never lightened your hair before. Even in this piece, this is super weird. This is like a medium blonde, and then a dark blonde, and then a really white blonde right there. That's a really high danger zone. And then it goes down into orange, and then white blonde again all the way to the end of the hair. So I don't want to overwhelm you. I just want you to know the risks of what we're doing today. There's going to be sacrifices made within your hair, either with length or color or health in some kind of way. But I do realize something needs to be done here. What are you most comfortable with? What are your favorite options within that?
I'm okay with like not having a full bleach out. Like I'm not like it needs to be like all like super blonde. Maybe like doing like highlights and lowlights and bringing you back to that.
Okay. Is that your ideal option, is having highlights and lowlights?
Yeah.
Okay. Ideally, it would be that. Okay. So there's a couple different ways that we could do something like that. With doing a corrective color like this, adding some dimension back in does help to blend stuff. down the road. Doing a full bleach out means like we have to try to make everything the same color.
Yeah, I feel like that would be more.
There's going to be some patchiness. It'll probably be, in a way, faster to do a bleach out. Because if I do highlights and lowlights, we're going to have to foil the whole thing and then darken some areas. If we do bleach outs, foil the whole thing, retone. But it's there's a couple different ways I can do the highlights and lowlights situation. It all kind of depends on what it looks like once I've given you a quick clarifying wash. And I have to kind of root through the hair a little bit more in detail here. It's a little hard to see with the treatment on because it's like pretty shiny, but it's good that you did this treatment. With highlights and lowlights, I have a little bit more faith in that though, longer term, because it will give you the dimension that kind of blends through. It kind of disguises some of this banding if the banding isn't fully taken care of. But it does mean we'd have to refoil your whole head and then put on a shadow root and kind of blend the shadow root into your new low light. I think your best option is to have your low light match your natural color, rather than to go to like a light brown. The girl in the photo that you showed me has naturally lighter brown hair, and then she gets blonde highlights put in. I get the look that you're going for though. You're going for super blonde with some soft dimension throughout the rooted area. So the only thing is your soft dimension down the road would be more your natural color instead of that light brown color. So there'd be a slight difference in colors down the road, but overall I get the appeal and the look that you're going for. So yeah, I do think that we need to put in your natural. The only problem is down the road when we want to relift your hair, there's going to be this bleach and then a natural root coverage, and if we want to bleach more highlights in down the road, we'd have to go over that. So that's also not ideal because this has been lifted quite light.
She was saying the top was like kind of orangey.
Yeah,
when she
yeah.
lifted it.
This is still pretty light though. This is like a level 8.5, 9. But if we put down a low light, that's your color.
Yeah.
Like a level 2, 3. That's putting like a black on a light, and then later when this black shadow root grows down your hair, and we try to connect your old highlights with new ones, we have to go over this bar.
Oh, I see.
That's already been bleached and then darkened, so that's a danger zone down the road. So, did this break or was this like bleach?
It might be baby hair.
Baby hairs or some kind of bangs or okay. Okay. So that is the one thing that is, well, not the one thing, it's one of the concerning things. It's a bit of a limiter for us when you've had it globally bleached, is that if we put a permanent color dark root on there, we have to lift through that eventually later on to connect your highlights from today into your highlights from, down the road, tomorrow, whenever that is. So that's going to be very difficult to deal with later, now that I'm thinking of it. And it's going to be very high risk. This is blue, okay? I see why it turned blue. You were right with that when you said that she lifted it to an orangey color and then put on a really ashy color to kind of deal with it. There is your level 8, 9 bleaching, your natural 8, 9 spot here, natural 9, 10. This would snap if we put anything on it right here. When I look at this, I think maybe what we should do, if you want my opinion, is to do a platinum card where we go through every hair, try to lighten it up to get it to match.
Okay.
And then what we do is down the road, we foil you with your new roots when they come in. But that means that you'd have to grow out your bleach roots for a while.
Okay.
Because when they've been lifted this light and then darkened, we don't want to lift them that light again later on. And your hair has to be lifted so much to get to the point where you want it to be at. If you had something more subtle, if you were like, hey, like let's do like my natural to like a chocolate brown, that'd be fine. But we have it like to this level. That's where the high risk zone comes in. So maybe I think we should try to get it all light and all kind of one color. Whether that's more in the platinum tones or more in the soft blonde tones, that kind of depends on what it all lifts to.
Yeah.
And what toner is going to blend it all. But then you need to grow your hair for a while. And we could do a toner shadow root in a color that's lighter than your natural to kind of soften the root when it comes in, so you don't have just like blonde right to the roots. If you don't want that, we don't have to do that. And then down the road, when you have some roots, we can put in just highlights on those roots.
Okay.
And let in your natural grow in as the lowlights and kind of try to work our way towards your goal photo that you originally had down the road. But I think if we want to go on the light side of our, like if we want to stay on the light side, I think that's probably what we have to do. Because when you're considering a color correction, you don't just consider today in the chair. You have to consider like in a year where you want your hair to be. And that's the problem with having such high contrast hair is if we put a high contrast color in here, we're going to have to break through that later. So how do you feel about that?
I think that's a good idea.
That's okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, you might be blonder than you want to be today, but if you are, we can easily drop down a toner shadow root into like a light brown, maybe a darker blonde color to soften that up. But I wouldn't go too dark with that just because we're gonna have to break through it later. And if it's a toner, it might just come out with a little bleach wash or a little color remover. But if it's a level 2, 3, it won't come out like that anymore. That's another color correction down the road. That's what we don't want to do. We don't want to be doing color corrections on color corrections. So that would be my best advice for us today. We're going to have to bleach through all of this, hair by hair. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. Are you like mentally prepared for all this? Everything? You're all good?
Yeah, I trust you.
Okay, sounds good. What are we willing to do in the way of cutting today? Are we willing to do a cut? What are we going for?
I'm guessing we'll probably have to cut some. So yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
My hair grows pretty fast, so
Okay.
it's okay. I've had it shorter than this. Like, I probably wouldn't want to go like shorter than there, like shorter than like there.
Okay. Okay, we'll try to keep it to that, and if we can't, we'll have a talk about it. You can still decide whatever you want to do at the end. Some of these pieces, we might see some breakage today. How comfortable are you with knowing that there's going to be breakage?
Yeah, I expected there to be some breakage, yeah.
Because as much as we're going to be treating this, putting all the good things on it, all the protectors, there is still some crazy overlapping that's going to have to happen here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're gonna need to have some expectations of there's gonna be some breakage, so maybe we re-layer a little bit of it or take a little trim, some layering. But yeah, I think we got our work cut out for us today.
Yeah.
And yeah,